All right, ladies and gentlemen, here is part two, and we're going to talk about solving inequalities. And I'm not really going to talk a lot because we've done this, we've practiced this. Let's get straight to it. Now, remember in the slide, what's going to happen is they're going to use the multiplicative inverse of negative 1/3. Because what we're going to do is we need to get rid of that negative 3, right? And they're going to use a multiplicative inverse of negative 3, which is 1/3 or negative 1/3 to get rid of it. However, remember, and especially if you've seen my last videos, you know what I'm talking about. Remember, I told you that if it's a single digit, if it's not a fraction here, you can just divide by that number. So in essence, what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. When you divide both sides by negative 3 divided by negative 3 cancels out. You end up with p plus 1. And over here, negative 18 divided by negative 3 gives you a positive 6. You're going to see that same math worked out, but they're using they're multiplying both sides by a negative 1/3. Here's the big thing that you guys need to note is whenever you divide or multiply by a negative and it's an inequality, the signs flip. Make sure you note that. When you simplify, and here's that positive 6 that I told you about a second ago. All right. Now you have to use additive inverse. The inverse of adding 1 is going to be subtracting 1. You subtract 1 by both sides, and you end up with p is greater than or equal to 5. This is them showing that solution, and there's the check. All right, let's work another one. Okay. What is our first step going to be? We need to undo the subtraction by doing additive inverse. So on this one right here, remember I said you want to move the smallest variable, which is going to be that negative 6. We're going to get rid of that by adding 6x to both sides. And that's going to give you a 12x, bring down the plus 2, equals 14. We're going to use additive inverse one more time, and we're going to get rid of the positive 2 by subtracting 2. And you're left with 12x equals 12. Now, here, they're going to do that again. They're going to multiply both sides by 1/12 to get rid of that 12. But what I'm going to say is just divide both sides by 12. Remember, if it's not a fraction, you don't necessarily have to multiply by the reciprocal. You can just divide by that single digit number. Dividing by 12 is going to be 12 divided by 12, which is going to be 1, and you'll end up with x is less than 1. Okay, there's that 1/12. They're showing you that there. It's not a negative, so the sign stays the same. It doesn't flip. And then when we simplify, there we go. All right, I want you to pause the video and try this problem. All right, so you should have paused the video and you should have worked this problem. I am now going to work this. Okay, so what we have is let me get my pencil. I thought I had my pencil selected. I'm gonna draw this little line so that I can separate what's happening. I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 4. Dividing both sides by a negative 4. Now remember, when you multiply by a negative, this sign flips, and it's now going to be going this way. That gives me a 0 pair. Remember, this is the same thing as multiplying by a negative 1/4. Oh, that came out good. That's the same thing as multiplying by a negative 1/4 on both sides. What happens is you get a 0 pair here. You end up with negative 4 plus x. Now this negative 4 is not this negative 4. This negative 4 here is a negative 4 that's inside the parentheses. And we have is less than 56 divided by negative 4 is a negative 14. Now we're going to use additive inverse. We're going to add 4 to both sides. Okay. This gives me a 0 pair. I'm left with x, and negative 14 plus 4. You have a negative 14 and you're adding 4 to that. That's going to be a negative 10. Okay? So we'll come down here to our number line, and we said x is, and what do we say, greater than or less than? Okay. So it's less than a negative 10. I guess we can, let's see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we got 10 right here. I'm going to use this. Actually, yeah, I'm going to use this to mark off my 10. And so we're saying that that x is less than negative 10. That's going to be all the numbers that's going that direction. Let's try our next problem. Won't you pause video and try this problem out? Pause video, work it out. Pause video, work it out. I hope you pause the video because I'm going to work it out now. All right, so I want to move the smallest variable. The smallest variable here is 2n. I'm going to subtract 2n from both sides. Don't necessarily like what they're doing here. I would have preferred for them to have given you some larger numbers to work with so that the solution is not what it's going to be. But 5n minus 2n is a positive 3n plus 4, and that's greater than 1. Okay? We're going to use additive inverse and subtract 4 from both sides. And then you have a positive 1, and that's minus 4 or positive 1 plus a negative 4 in any way. We're going to be taking the difference of that. That's going to be a negative 3. And you end up with 3n is greater than a negative 3. And this is what I was talking about. You're going to divide both sides by 3. Or, divide both sides by 3. And you're left with n is greater than a negative 1. This is basically what I was talking about. I was hoping that they would have given you a solution where the answer wasn't 1, which I believe was the case on both of these, or in the example previously provided. But in any case, let's go down here and let's solve it. Let's just make 0 right here in the middle since we're talking about negative 1. All right, negative 1. I didn't mean to put a dot right there. We're going to call this 0. And so negative 1 will be right here. And this is not an or equal to problem. So we're just going to put a dot right there. And we want n is greater than that, so we want solutions that are going this direction. Boom. All right, so that's it for this. Guys, let's go ahead and get that in. Let's work on this. And hey, I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.